Kate, who lives in the Inland Empire, writes in, and she says, Tom, I've listened to your show for years. I've always wanted to call in, but I'm just plain too intimidated by you. However, I feel that the messages that you put out to both men and women are excellent. I personally am so tired of women as a group that I'm embarrassed for them. These women that get married, hold a career, pop out kids, only to stick them in daycare, should not be allowed to call themselves wives. They should be called users. They hold on to their families to show that they can be working women and family women, but in truth, they are just screwing up their poor kids and neglecting their husbands. Hear, hear. Women need to remember, a woman's place is in the kitchen. I've been married for 3 years now, and I'm proud to call myself a wife. My husband supports us both, and we are very well off. I could work, but what's the point? I know my place in life. My husband has 3 home-cooked meals a day, clean clothes in his closet, and sex whenever he needs it. More women need to remember aprons and cookbooks instead of designer business suits and appointment books. Women were created to serve men, and they should remember that. I do. And, of course, more than likely you're thinking I'm really ugly or fat. Well, I used to model, and sometimes I still do, just for fun. But only when my husband approves it. Thank you for the message that you send out every day over the air. If only more people would listen. Signed, Kate, in the Inland Empire. Now, many of you guys would love to be married to somebody like that. You'd love that to be your girlfriend and later your wife. You would love that. But among American women, you just don't hear this a lot. You don't. Now, we have people all the time talking about whether women can have it all. Can you balance the demands of a career and your family and your husband? And the reality is you can't, and few do it well. Few, if any. I'm sure the exceptions to the rule are running to their telephones right now, but who really cares? Generally speaking, you can't do both. You're either great at your career or great at running a household. Very few people can do both. And those of you out there who've said, you know, my grandparents were married for 50 years. That's what I want. You know why they were married for 50 years? Because your grandfather worked and your grandmother shut up and made dinner. That's why. That's why they stayed together. Your grandfather worked, your grandmother stayed home and took care of the house and took care of your grandfather when he came home. That is why they stayed together. Your grandmother didn't work her way up to the top of a Fortune 500 company. And your grandfather did not sit home in the dark waiting for her to come home. That's not what happened. And you have to accept the facts. The facts are that the more you try to fight traditional gender roles, the less likely it is you'll have a successful marriage. And you know why that is? Because marriage is very traditional anyway. It's a very traditional thing anyway. The only way to make it work, and by the way, I've had 4 failures. But that's because I refused to accept the idea that there are traditional gender roles. I refused to accept it, and I was wrong. The way to make a relationship work is to understand the man goes out and earns a living. The woman takes care of the house and takes care of her man. That is how it works. Those are the marriages that survive for decades. The relationships that go on forever. The people who look happy at 50 and 60 and 70. The little old men and women walking around in the park that you see and you go, oh, God, wouldn't it be great to be them? Well, that's what they did. Those women, those 65-year-old women walking around the park with their husbands, they were not working in a company. They were not going to board meetings. They were not coming home at 10 o'clock at night. They were putting the pasta on the table every night. That is what they were doing. You just have to accept it. Don't you?
Tom Leykis. 1-800-5800-TOM. 1-800-5800-866. The radio woman on the radio getting the same ratings that you're getting, she's supposed to get paid the same.
I'm not talking, well, put it this way. No woman gets the ratings I get.
The Tom Leykis Show.
The Tom Leykis Show. 1-800-5800-TOM is our telephone number. Itai, hello.
Hello.
Yes.
I'm going to ask you, but I don't really care. How are you, Tom?
I'm great.
All right. Well, you're always talking about how if you need somebody to take care of the house, you can hire a maid. If you need somebody to cook for you, you can hire a cook. So why can't you just have a woman as a companion? She can have her career. She can come over and take care of you whenever you need it. But
well, if she's going to live someplace else, that's fine with me.
Well, what's the difference if she lives with you
because
or not?
I don't want to pay her bills. And let me tell you something. For the money that most women make at their careers, not all, of course, but the money most women make at their careers, the amount it would cost to hire a housekeeper, the amount it would cost to hire a cook or a nanny, frequently exceeds her entire income.
Well, I mean, if you have, it depends pretty much what you are and what you do. If you do something that's profitable, you're not going to go out with somebody that's working at McDonald's.
Guess what? You're wrong.
Well,
you're wrong. You know what? The hottest chicks frequently have the worst jobs, if they have a job at all.
The hottest chicks, their job is just to find the guy with the most money. But the women that there are women out there that are hot and that have careers. I mean, I'm an engineer myself. My girlfriend's a software engineer. She actually makes more money than I do right now. And I mean, she's going to keep going to the top, and so am I. And we can both keep doing it.
As long as you're not... Well, again, there's no point in being married or living with somebody if you come home and the house is empty. Doesn't make any sense.
No, I agree.
I mean, date around.
Be empty. You can
let her live at her own place. Why do you need to live together?
Well, number one, I didn't say you have to live together.
All right, that's my point. If you want to date somebody who has a career and see them when it's convenient, that's fine. The problem is when people live with you, you expect to see them.
Right, and that's the thing. If you,
I have no interest in being in a relationship where somebody lives with me, whether they're married to me or not. And I come home and they're not there.
Your girlfriend doesn't live with you?
What I'm saying to you is I don't ever want to live with somebody if they're not going to be there when I get home.
Okay. Well, I mean...
And any time I've been with anybody, if they come home after I do, the relationship ends.
Okay, well, I mean, it all depends, because sometimes you have to work really late, and...
I do, but who do you think is paying for the... Who's paying the vast majority of the bills? Of course I have to work late.
Well, I personally would not date somebody and live with somebody unless they could hold their own, whether it be holding their own...
But they don't hold their own. You always end up putting in more money than they do.
Well, like I said, I'm dating somebody right now, and she makes more than I do.
So who pays for dinner?
50-50.
Every time?
Most of the time.
Most of the time.
Sometimes she pays it. Sometimes
At the end of the year, if you totaled up all the costs of going out,
it would be plus or minus 5 to 10% at the most. And
why should you pay? If she makes more than you, why should you pay more?
I said it could go either way. We're flexible enough where it doesn't matter if I spend an extra $100 on her or she spends an extra $100 on me.
Yeah.
But
you may be happy with the way things are right now, but I'm telling you, the reason people's grandparents stay together for so long and the reason you won't is because they did what you're not willing to do.
Well, I mean, that's possible. I can't argue with you because I'm not there yet, and we don't have enough experience because women haven't been in the career world.
We do. Women have been in the career world in a big way for the past 35 years or more.
Well, yeah.
Since before you were born.
There are some.
Well, and the divorce rate is higher than ever.
Okay, but that's because, 30 years ago.
The number of single mothers is the highest it's ever been.
Okay. Yes, I agree with you.
That's why.
That's not exactly why.
All right, then why? Why is it? Why is it?
If you were a woman...
Why is it?
I'm telling you, if you were a woman 30 years ago and you try to divorce your husband, not only would you not be able to date anybody else in your society, but the husband would beat the living crap out of you.
Oh, please. That is the biggest generalization in the world. Did your father beat your mother?
No.
Did your grandfather beat your grandmother?
Yes.
Really?
Not a lot, but a little bit.
But your father didn't beat your mother?
No, my father never.
Well, why do you generalize like that?
Why do you generalize?
They were married over 30 years ago. The point is, you don't know what was going on 30 years ago.
I know what's going on.
Oh, yeah, that's why people didn't get divorces, because the men were all beating the women.
It's not
the end.
We're all beating the women, but you got to...
You try to get a divorce, your husband would beat you.
Is divorce more acceptable now than it was 20 or 30 years ago?
Well, the fact that it's more acceptable or less... Well, by the way, I think it's about the same as it was 30 years ago. If you ask me about 50 years ago, it's a different story.
Okay.
But the fact is that there were a lot less divorces in the past, and part of the reason is because people were a family. When they were together, Dad came home and Mom was home.
Right. I agree with you. I think family is very important, and like I said...
And there's very few men out there who want to come home to a dark house.
Right, but and I'm one of those people, and I would want to come to a house where I have...
So if you're not living with your girlfriend, you don't know what might happen if you live with her. You might get fed up with the way it is.
I'm about to move in with her.
Well, you might get fed up once you live there.
That's true. Well, we lived together previously, but...
And why aren't you living together now?
I moved back in with my dad because I was going to go and get my PhD, so I couldn't afford to live with anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
So, but now I have a job, and I'm staying with that job, and so we're moving in together, back together.
Right.
And like I said, I mean, we both come home around the same time, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, and we cook dinner. Either I cook dinner or she
Well,
cooks
you haven't
dinner.
lived with her in a while. You have no idea what she's going to be like.
I haven't lived with her.
She's working her way up. Maybe she works more hours now. Maybe she comes home later now.
She's at my house every day, or I'm at her house. So we practically live together. We eat dinner 5 to 6 nights a week together.
Uh-huh.
So, I mean, we're almost all the
Does she
time.
travel for her job?
Nope, she does not. I used to a little bit, but not anymore.
So she's always, when you move in together, she'll always be home the time you get home.
At the most, she would be home later because she drives further. She drives from Calabasas to West.
Whatever the reason.
Yeah, maybe 20 minutes, half an hour.
All right. Well, Itai, you'll find out when you get there. But I'm telling you, the sooner you accept the idea that traditional gender roles make for a longer-lasting relationship, the better. It's Kim on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
I just want to know, where are all these men that are willing to take care of women? Because I can't seem to find them.
Where are they?
Where are they?
When you say take care of women, what do you mean?
Well, if I'm going to be a stay-at-home, wife, girlfriend, whatever, and, the guy's going to be out working and, paying the bills and stuff, I mean, where is that guy?
Well, dear, I hate to be so blunt. No, I love being blunt. You're 38 years old. I mean,
yeah.
The time to be asking this question was 10 years ago.
I'm divorced now.
I understand that. But the point is, the time to ask that question was 10 years ago.
Well, I did ask that question, and I still couldn't find him. And the guys that I seem to date...
Well, what about the guy you married? What happened? What was the deal with him?
Well, we had an understanding, and then...
What was the understanding you had?
Well, first of all, the first thing is that it wasn't a normal lifestyle, like, your traditional 9-to-5 job.
What do you mean?
We're musicians.
I see.
Okay. And he did his thing. But, see, I also worked. That's all he did. I was also a musician, but I also had a regular job. And I was the housewife. And I cooked, and I cleaned, and I took care of the kids and everything.
There's nothing traditional about that.
No, I know.
It's oddball.
It's very.
You worked 2 jobs, and you were a housewife with kids.
Mm-hmm.
Well, of course that's not going to work.
And it didn't.
Well, that's my point. I mean, if you wanted to have an arrangement like the one I'm talking about, the time to ask that was when you were young and hot.
Well, okay, and I realize now that it didn't work.
You're going to have a lot harder time finding a man like that, because a successful man can afford younger and hotter than you.
Who says I'm not hot?
Young and hot. That's an and in there.
Oh,
don't forget the ampersand here.
Oh, I see.
Young, too.
So I'm just basically screwed then, is what you're saying.
Well, you certainly have to start lowering your sights.
Yeah, but I mean, at least somebody that can,
Now you would expect a guy to be taking over the responsibilities of your ex.
No, but you know what? I don't...
How old are your kids?
I don't expect it. They're 8 and 9 going on 10.
That's one of the reasons you can have a hard time finding a man. I would have no interest.
I have a hard time finding men.
I mean the kind of man you're looking for.
Willing to take care of me.
But it's not just taking care of you. It's taking care of 2 children that belong to another man.
But their dad takes very good care of them.
Dear, those kids. How often do those kids live with you?
You know what? But, wait a minute. But I'm not looking for somebody. That's not one of my requirements. I'm not looking for somebody to take care of me.
Dear.
Okay. I mean, I can take care of.
How often do those children live with you?
I just want somebody to...
You don't want to answer that question.
Answer what question?
I've asked it 4 times now.
Ask me again, please.
How often do those children live with you?
We do a week-to-week thing.
What does that mean? 1 week you, 1 week him?
Yes.
Right. So half the time you've got your kids there.
Mm-hmm.
How many desirable men want to be responsible, even a little bit, for some other man's kids?
I mean, I could see a young guy refusing. You know,
I would refuse.
But, I mean, if it's somebody that's, in my age bracket or,
I would refuse. I would say no.
Why?
I don't want that responsibility.
What makes every older man think that he can get some younger woman?
Any man who is successful can.
So where are all these successful men?
Wow.
Where were they when I was...
We're dating women in their 20s who don't have kids.
Okay, but where were they when I was in that age bracket? Well, I guess I was already married then, huh?
Yeah, you were. You used up your prime years.
Yeah, but, I mean, come on. I'm not looking for somebody to take care of me. I mean, I can take care of myself. I just want somebody that should it ever occur that I need somebody to take care of me. I mean, let's say something happens and I need to be able to look to somebody. Where are those guys? I'm not asking from the get-go.
But see, the bottom line is we either do it from the get-go or we don't. I mean, the bottom line is that...
Well, I refuse to believe that. I mean,
okay.
I've got to be out there somewhere. I can't find them, and that's where
but their names are Poindexter. They work in the ID department. That's where they work. They're guys that you would not find that interesting.
Probably.
Poindexter's been putting money in his 401k and his IRA because no woman's been going out with him. So he's been putting his date money way towards his retirement. And if you're willing to, to take the pocket protector out of his shirt pocket and put his shirt in the washing machine, you might make it with him.
Wow.
But you see, you clearly want to have your cake and eat it too. You want to get a hot, desirable guy who's willing to take care of you.
Not even hot and desirable. I mean, just normal, somebody normal. And then who's... Normal guys don't want to take on...
Normal guys don't want to take on the responsibilities of your ex. And it does happen.
Really? They wouldn't have to. Not financially.
Come on.
Not financially.
All right. Let me give you the example that I ran into when I had a slip-up and I dated somebody like you, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And she had kids that were... they were 9 and 6.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately 10 and 7 when we were all done. Yes, so she says the kids want to go to Disneyland. You want to come with us? Sure, I'll come with you. Okay, great. So we drive down to Anaheim, park the car in the goofy lot, and then get on the golf cart or whatever it is to go over to the front gate of Disneyland. And at that time, admission was $48 a person. And did her credit card come out of her wallet to pay for herself and her 2 kids? No. No.
Well,
you end up paying for it.
So you wouldn't ever be willing to pay for...
That's my point. You just said it wouldn't happen. Then I gave you an example, and now you, of course, grudgingly have to agree it does happen. No, I don't want to support another man's children.
We're going to Disneyland, and then,
That's $200.
Oh, I know how much it costs.
I don't. Well, and guess what? It's gone up since then.
I'm not talking about situations like that. I'm talking about situations in life, like say something happens.
Dinner, vacations.
No. Let's say I got laid off of my job, and I couldn't make my rent that.
Then I have to support your kids too.
And who said it would be for the rest of forever?
I don't care how long it is. I don't want that responsibility. And you see, here you are having this argument with me, but dear, that's how most men feel. You see? So you're just arguing with reality here. I'm just a representative of reality. That is what's out there. You are now damaged goods because you're past your expiration date and you have 2 children from a previous man. And that is going to make it harder for you to find a quality man. Quality men can do better.
Well, that's disappointing.
That's a fact. If I were you, I'd find out the next time the Comdex convention is going to be in Las Vegas. I'd get a suite, and I would go down there and start trolling the convention floor.
Wow.
Because there's some guy with an engineering degree with your name on it.
No.
All right, dear.
Hey, are some of those engineering guys pretty hot? No?
They're named Poindexter. She just doesn't want to accept the truth. She's having a hard time with the truth. 1-800-5800-TOM is our telephone number. It's Holly on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hey, Tom. How you doing?
Okay.
Well, I have had a very different experience of a man leaving his wife because she did stay home. My dad left my mother for someone not attractive at all, but someone who he worked with who was very brilliant and very talented and very successful. My mother was gorgeous, a model.
And could suck a basketball through a garden hose, probably.
You know, they're still together 30 years later, so, you know, I really don't know. I don't ask my father about his sex life, but...
Yeah, but when I'm asking you, you don't know what happened between your parents in the bedroom. There's probably other issues that you're not aware of.
Well, you're saying that men stay with women who stay at home...
I said that, look, I said they had a better chance of the marriage surviving. Now, 50 years ago, there were people who got divorced, and there were people who got separated, and there were people who split up, but not in the numbers you see now.
Yeah, and they stayed together, and they were miserable.
They were not all miserable. Were your grandparents miserable?
Yeah, totally.
Really? And your parents?
They were married for 60 years, both of them.
And they were miserable.
The day they died.
Well, then why get married at all?
It's because that's what they did.
All right, but why get married now in the 21st century? Why even bother?
Well, if you have children...
Well, again, you know, for most guys, that's a very bad deal.
Well, you know what? I've been married for a really long time. We both work. I make more money than my husband, and it works out just fine. And your generalization...
Again, as I have always said, but women are hard of hearing and are short in the reasoning department, very high in the emotional department. Fact is that just because there are exceptions to a rule, and there are exceptions to every rule, doesn't disprove the rule.
I don't see a lot of...
The fact that you are an exception to the rule does not mean the rule is not valid.
Yeah, but there's plenty of people out there that get divorced and the women stay at home.
But there's a lot more of them that get divorced when they're both working.
That's because most women work nowadays. There's hardly any women that can afford to...
And that's why you have so much divorce now. Because men don't want to sit there in the dark waiting for you to come home.
Yeah, and you also have this generalization. I listen to your show all the time. I'm a avid fan, even though I disagree with you most of the times. You know, I really feel like you generalize.
I do, because I'm a broadcaster, and we are broadcasting to a broad audience of broads.
And to an occasional broad.
Yeah, exactly. So that's, of course you're generalizing. I can't say, and Juan Gonzalez, who lives at 823 Wilshire Boulevard.
No, but you...
I'm going to talk about you today, and then I want to talk to Lupe Velez, who lives at 829 Wilshire Boulevard. She's different.
No, what I'm trying to...
You can't do a show like that.
No, my point is that I think that what you generalize, I don't think I'm the exception to the rule, like you just said. I think I'm the majority. I think
the majority of people are getting divorced now.
I just don't like the way...
In Southern California, 2 out of every 3 marriages ends in divorce now. Hello? Yeah, that's what I thought.
Tom Leykis. 1-800-5800-TOM.
If there was no women in this world, what would you do? Y'all be running around circles, going, duh.
No, we wouldn't.
Yeah, you would.
No, we'd be slapping the salami.
The Tom Leykis Show.
The Tom Leykis Show. 1-800-5800-TOM is our telephone number. Maria, hello.
Yes, hi. How are you?
Do you care, Maria?
Yeah, I actually do care.
I'm doing great.
Really? That's good. Well, about the conversation you're having.
Yes.
That girl that you were just talking to, I didn't catch her name, but she was asking where are the men at that actually take care of their wives and, you know, their wives stay at home.
Yeah.
Well, I actually got one of those, and I'm only 18. I actually got one of those, but I wanted to tell her that she's a little too late for that But, you know, most of those guys that take care of their wives and, you know, they expect everything to be perfect, and they're actually a-holes, you know?
What do you mean?
And
why do you say that?
Why do I say
Why?
that?
Because they expect the house to be clean and the kids to be fed and stuff?
I mean, they expect perfection, you know? Like,
how do you know that?
How do I know that? Because of the man I'm living with, you know?
Uh-huh.
And,
by the way, why did you have a baby?
Why did I have a baby?
Yes.
Because I didn't take care of myself.
Why didn't you do that?
Because, I mean, I don't know. I'm 18, you know?
I understand that, but that's exactly the reason you shouldn't be having a child. You're a baby yourself.
Yeah, I know I'm a baby myself, but I guess I knew what I was getting into, you know?
No, you didn't.
Well, I did. I know I didn't. Oh, yeah, I did in a way, you know?
No, you really didn't.
My child is not my problem. You know, I can handle my child.
Well, so far, but I will repeat what I've said so many times on this program. Your child is more likely to be a drug addict, more likely to be an alcoholic, more likely to be a criminal, more likely to be a teenage parent than kids who live in a household where the parent is not a teenager.
Yeah, I know, but, I mean, I come from a family that, you know, I don't know, they taught me morals and they taught me, you know...
Oh, they did? And how'd you get knocked up at 17?
How did I get knocked up? I mean, it was my decision, you know.
So they taught you morals and you paid absolutely no attention.
I guess I was ignorant at the time.
I love, you know, what I love doing, I love getting on, like, that Craigslist online, and there's all these nuts who post on there, and one of them is, you always see the same message, you know, I'm 28, I have 2 kids, and I have morals and character. Well, how the hell did you do that?
I know. But, I mean, getting back to I mean, having...
By the way, you're not married to your boyfriend, and he lives with you?
Yeah, I live with him.
You live with him?
Yeah.
Is that part of the morals your family taught you?
Well, no. I mean, I guess they saw how everything was going on, you know, with him and they didn't pressure me to get...
And which gang does he belong to, by the way?
He's not from any gang.
Crips, Bloods?
No.
18th Street gang? Who?
No, he belongs to no gang.
No?
No gang at all.
How old is he?
He's 29.
29!
Yes,
wow!
29.
And he nailed you before your 18th birthday?
Yes, he did.
There we go.
But, I mean, he, you know, everything expects, you know, perfection at home, you know. And
well, dear, nobody made you move in with him.
What was that?
Nobody made you move in with him.
No, nobody did.
By the way, if he's an a-hole, he's my kind of guy.
He's your kind of guy?
I teach the boys to be a-holes. Are you kidding? Because just like you fall right in love with him.
I guess he listened to you.
You can't get enough of him. He's such an a-hole, you moved right in with him.
Yeah, he's such an a-hole, I moved in with him.
That's right.
But, I mean...
And you're probably still not using condoms or birth control or anything.
Well, I'm in birth control now.
Oh, now you are.
Yeah, now I am.
Now you are.
Yeah, it's a little late, but...
Yeah, a little late.
I mean, we love our son, you know. We love our son.
Well, what choice do you have?
Yeah. I mean, even this, you know, I ain't one of those girls, a hood rat or anything that goes around.
Oh, not you.
I take care of my kid, and I try to take care of him also, you know.
Yeah.
I try taking care of them, and that's my job. I mean, I don't work or anything. I stay home, but going back to that girl, I mean...
By the way, from what high school did you get your high school diploma?
At Poly, I actually did.
You graduated?
Yeah, I graduated.
Really?
Yeah.
How'd you do that?
How did I do that?
Your 35-year-old mother had to take care of your kid?
She ain't 35. No, she don't take care of my kid. Well, I had actually after I was done with high school.
Yeah, what'd she say?
What did she say?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they were...
She couldn't wait to get you out of the house. Now she has to take care of your kid?
No, she don't. She doesn't take care of my kid.
Good for her.
Yeah, we only see each other on weekends.
How old is your mom?
How old is my mom?
Yeah.
She's about 45.
45, okay.
45, yeah.
All right. Is she still married to your dad?
Yeah, she's still with my dad.
She is?
Yeah.
What'd your dad think when he found out you got knocked up?
What did he say?
Yeah.
Well, they got sad. They started crying and stuff, but, I mean, what else can they do? They gave me the courage I needed, you know?
They gave you the courage you needed to do what?
They pushed me to get it over with. Like, to do what? I mean, not to feel, I guess.
To get it over with? What, to have an abortion?
Not get, no, nothing like that. Oh. I mean, to have my baby, you know. Oh. Never did it cross my mind to have an abortion, but most of these girls...
And the reason for that is what now? Because it's immoral?
Immoral? No.
Why wouldn't you have an abortion?
Oh, I wouldn't.
Why not?
Why not? Because I just personally think it's bad, you know.
Oh, but having sex when you're 17 and getting knocked up, that's okay.
Well, no, but I mean, what's worse, having an abortion? I mean, killing some other, you know, person's life. That's a life right there. You take
well, again, you know, if you think it's immoral, then you all shouldn't have been having sex.
Well, it happened, you know, things happen.
Well, no, you made it happen, dear.
I made it happen?
No, when you get a brain tumor, things happen. Yeah, you have no control over that. When you get into bed, take your Victoria's Secret panties off and tell your boyfriend to stick it in. Things don't just happen. You made it happen.
Okay, we made it happen.
That's right.
Uh-huh.
Things happen.
Yeah, well, it happened. We have our baby now, you know.
There we go.
But, I mean...
And what does your a-hole of a boyfriend do for a living?
What does he do for a living?
Yeah.
He has a business.
Yeah, what business is that?
What business is that?
Sells crack?
Huh?
He sells crack?
No, he doesn't sell crack. He's not into anything of that.
What does he do?
Air conditioning.
He owns an air conditioning business?
Yeah.
Okay.
With other guys there, they repair and big old houses and stuff.
Got it.
That's what he does.
I understand.
For a living.
All right.
But, you know, like him being an a-hole in the aspect of him expecting everything to be perfect at home. And
well, nobody forces you to live with him. If you don't like it, why don't you leave? Because he is an a-hole. That's why you don't leave.
Yeah.
You love it.
Yeah, well, I love him.
You love him, and he's an a-hole.
Tom Leykis. Tom Leykis. 1-800-5800-866.
Even though you've got many issues with me, you continue to listen.
Isn't that sick?
Yes.
It's like bottleneckers on the freeway. What's going on with my stupid waste of time?
Rubberneckers.
Whatever.
The Tom Leykis Show.
I have 800-TOM. Lisa, hello.
Hey, Tommy, how you doing?
All right, Lisa.
I have a question for you about this whole, you know, one-income household thing. It's an idealistic thing to want, you know, the husband to go out and work and make a living and everything, but how are you supposed to support it these days? I mean, the 50s were perfect. You know, everything was a lot cheaper then. How are we supposed to...
No, it's not that things were cheaper then. It's that back... For example, when I was a kid... Understand, I'm 48 years old.
Right.
When I was a kid, we didn't have 2 cars. We had 1.
Okay.
And until I was 7, we had no cars.
Okay.
All right. Now, in L.A., you have to have a car. But still, we didn't have 2 cars. And then when I was a teenager, we didn't have 3 cars. We had 1 car.
Okay.
All right. We didn't have PCs. We didn't have color TV.
Right.
We didn't have handheld video games and all the electronic gadgets that people have today. Cell phones. I mean, a lot of the stuff people spend money on is stuff they do not need.
Okay.
And I say if you can't afford to stay home with your kid, you can't afford to have one.
Well, okay, the situation is...
So just don't have any.
Right. Well, my husband and I, he's 29, I'm 36. We're both still really hot, so that's not an issue. We're happy. We're both employed. He's doing really well for his age. He's a software engineer, and I'm in admin, but I'm going to school because I want to own a business. We both want to own a business. We want to open up a B&B, a bed and breakfast. And so how, I mean, on our salaries, how are we supposed to manage? I mean, I wouldn't work a day in my life if I didn't have to, believe me. I would love to stay...
Do you have kids?
No, we don't want kids. No effing way.
Right, I understand. Well, certainly if you want to own a business, the 2 of you have to work.
Right.
But by the same token, the 2 of you owning a business could have an impact on your relationship.
It could. But if we're at home together and that's our business, then we're there together. So that's...
Yeah, but you're not going to be together until you've saved up enough money to buy the business.
Right.
So
and we both work the same hours, so that helps. But I mean, I would love to stay home and take care of him and do it, and I'm great at it. That's one of the reasons why I think I'd be successful, you know, as a B&B owner. But he's told me, he'd love to have that happen too, but we can't feasibly do it.
Well, I understand. Buying a business is tough, and it requires a lot of sacrifice.
The Tom Leykis Show.